yeah, you can book a job and that'll give you some confidence and say like, okay, I'm a working actor, right? But until you can view yourself as competent in that regard, and until you change your mindset about what this is, because we both know there's a lot of rejection in this business, and so if your mindset is not right, then the money won't matter, and the jobs that you have booked in the past won't matter, because it's all about what can you book today. How valuable are you now?
Welcome to Get Scene Unscripted. I'm your host, Jesse Malinowski. We are going to dive into acting insights, meet industry pros, and master the business. Don't forget to subscribe and share. We're keeping you behind the scenes and ahead of the game. As you know, this episode is brought to you by Get Scene Studios, and we want to invite you to one of our challenges that we love to start the new year with. It is called the Booked It Challenge. It's only $28. It starts on February 5th. It's 4 weeks, everyone. And each week we go over specific strategy to help you get more auditions. Then we give you specific tactics to implement into your auditions to help your auditions stand out in a big way. And then we also bring in a casting director to look over auditions so we can learn from those industry pros. So everyone, this is an incredible challenge to help you grow in a big way, and also really give you momentum to have the best acting year of your journey. So we can't wait to help you do that. You can also save $5 by using the promo code unscripted. So everyone, it's already $28. Make it even cheaper and more affordable than that. So be sure to sign up, everyone, for our Booked It Challenge starting on February 5th. Now enjoy the show. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Get Scene Unscripted. Today, I am bringing you one of my good friends. He is a successful actor here in Atlanta. You've seen him in a bunch of really great roles, probably most notably as Groot in the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Austin Freeman, what's up, man?
What's up, man? How you been?
I'm good, dude. It's good to see you. Yeah, man, it's good to see you. I feel like we haven't gotten together in a while, so this is a good excuse. It has been a while.
Yeah, this is a good reason to get together and just kind of talk it up.
Heck yeah, man. Well, you know, obviously, I feel like we got to start with Guardians, right? How long were you on Guardians?
So I worked on that from kind of the end of October 2021 until I believe it was about 7 months. It was 7 months after that.
Bro.
So it was about May 2022. Yeah, that's right.
Jeez.
So 7 months was kind of the general timeline of how long I was on it.
Wow. Can you talk about, you know what I love? Because I didn't have 7 months, but I did have 9 weeks on a movie.
Yeah.
And like, or anything where you have more than one day, right? Like how much better it is when you get to show up to set over and over and get to know everyone.
Yeah.
Like, bro, I can't even imagine that long, especially with that caliber of movie. Like, how was that?
Yeah, so that was one of the coolest things about the whole experience is that, I mean, working because I was kind of like one of the core members of like the Guardians, you know? So
you're Groot.
Yeah, I was Groot. So I got to like come on and be there for everything. You know, I was there on the first day of principal photography, and I was there until I think the day before the last day of principal photography. So
wow.
It was really cool because you really get to know the crew. You work with them every day. You make friends with the cast that are coming back and kind of recurring throughout the movie. And I mean, it's cool because we were shooting down at Trillith, which is, a little south of Atlanta. You have your own little key card to just go right through, and you get to kind of do all that kind of stuff. And it was really great because you really kind of establish relationships with people. And it's cool just kind of seeing that whole process from start to finish, and really being part of like the people who are making the creation, and like seeing everything firsthand. And I don't know, man, it was really cool being on that long.
Yeah. Wait, you said like you got to know the crew, like obviously you got to know everyone a lot more. Has it changed your thought process on when you're on other sets, even maybe for a day or two, that you're like, I need to get to know everyone like I did on Guardians? Or you're like, it is what it is. This is my role. Like, do you know what I'm saying? How do you think about that? Because I know, like, when I've been on set, like, I remember Marlon Wayans when I was in the Netflix film Naked.
Yeah.
He got here to set, dapped everybody, said what's up to everyone, and you're just like, that's like, that's who you want to be. Like,
Yeah.
and then I try to bring that back to like on when I'm like one day on set,
Yeah,
and I'm like, it doesn't quite work.
Yeah, like the small guest star, small
Yeah,
co-star.
yeah.
I really respect that energy. I think that's kind of like the top-down energy that is something that I try to incorporate in everything that I do. And so I like to get to know people. I mean, some of the crew, they're just working, and they've got timelines, and they don't have time to really be your friend. It's the same thing with some actors. Some actors need their space, especially depending on the content of the scene. If it's serious, give them their space, let them do their thing. I like to get to know people on set, and while I'm not gonna get the chance to become best friends with every single person that I meet on every set, it's surprising to me how even like I did a show in January for NBC called Found. So it's going to come out on NBC and Hulu, I believe.
Nice. Everyone go watch it.
Yeah, so check it out. So I got a fun role in that. And, like during that process, I kind of got close with some of the actors and talked to them a little bit and follow some of them on Instagram, and we'll chat a little bit. But I got pretty close with the director. And so she and I, we talk pretty consistently now. And so that's kind of cool to me. It's like you walk onto the set and you're the professional and you just kind of do your thing, but you get to kind of breathe life into everything that you do while you're there, and people like that. And it also, I think it shows that you bring something to the set beyond just, hey, I'm an actor that can hit my mark and say my lines, right? I'm a professional that you live and work with those people, and that's where we go to play and create things together and be vulnerable and do really cool stuff like that gets to entertain people. And I think that bringing that energy onto a set where you get to make other people feel seen and important, I think that's just something cool to do, and I think it's something we should all try to incorporate. Yeah.
Can you dive into that a little bit more, man? Because I really love that, and I think it's easier said than done, of going on set and I don't know, being open, just I don't know, truly connecting with people, I guess, is really what it comes down to, right? And I feel like you just your energy, who you are, you're really good at that. So can you talk about a little bit more what it might look like when you're on set? How are you connecting with people but not feeling awkward or feeling like you're out of place or feeling well, I don't want to step on toes or all those negative thoughts that come into our mind, right? Yeah. And it's yeah, you're just feeling well, I want to talk to them, but what do I say? So do you have any kind of formula or what do you do when you're on set and you're connecting with people?
I mean, I think that's kind of a moving target for each person too, right? So I don't know, I when I go onto a set, one of the things that I do is I always have a book with me. I don't like to be on my phone when I'm on set. It feels closed off.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's something that's different that I've never done before, I played a doctor in The Walking Dead. And so while I was on set, I was literally, I was reading a field manual. So not a medical book, but hey, we're in the apocalypse, right? So I'm not going to be in a clean operating room somewhere. I'm going to be operating on someone in the woods. So while I was on that set, I was reading it was a Green Beret field guide or something like that. It's doing medical treatment while you're out in the nature or something like that.
Wait, you, Austin Freeman, was this is the book I'm bringing for Austin to read? Yeah. Or they had that as you?
No, that's what I brought.
Wait, did you have this book already?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, all right.
I'm a big outdoorsman,
Yeah,
and so,
I know that about you. Yeah.
I've got a lot of stuff that's a ranger's guide to whatever, backcountry living skills or something.
But you went in your library and you were kind of what book would make the most sense? I love that. That's
and it felt right for kind of the character research. And the cool thing was when I was sitting there reading it, because I'll put it down if someone wants to talk to me, hey, just mark my page and we can kind of connect and do the thing. And so I remember one of I think it was one of the producers came up to me and he was like, what are you reading? And I was I showed him, he's like, you're reading that for the character right now? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, you could see kind of a little thing of recognition.
Yeah.
He's like, that's cool, man. And then he kind of walked away and I was like, oh, sure, okay, whatever. But so I didn't do it for that reason.
Then all of a sudden you start raising the book higher. Can everyone see what I'm reading?
On camera, yeah. No, I mean, so for me, it's I just kind of go and I just kind of do what I like when I'm on set. I'm not really the type person to go and like take selfies with people or like, like take pictures of the set or any of that kind of stuff unless like I'm just kind of thrown into it. I like to talk with people, but I'm also kind of like, I'm an ambivert. Like I love my personal space and like I like hanging out with people too. So I like both. So I always bring a book to set. I did this because I remember when I was working on The Mule, I saw, I had this one courtroom scene where I saw Bradley Cooper and Michael Pena, and like they were on the other side of the courtroom, right? And in between every take, they both whipped a book out from under their courtroom like seat, and they both crack it open and they turn to each other and like say like one or two things, and then they'd like go back to their books, and then they'd be like, "All right, camera's up," and they'd put it away. And I was like, I don't know, just that stuck with me, and I thought that was so cool. And I was like, so you can constantly learn, you can kind of be in your space while also interacting with people and kind of keep it like a flowing openness. So that's something that I personally do. I have like an on-set bag that always has a book in it of whatever I want to read. Generally, it's like a fantasy book or something like, I don't know, like learning about like self-betterment or whatever, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, when it comes to like being open with people on set, you have to gauge the room, right? You have to like read the room and see some people will be open to that. Some people talk to everybody and they have such a good time and you can vibe with them. And some people don't want that. Some people want to sit off to the side and they want to be able to like just think about the scene, and or maybe they're having a hard day or whatever. And so like you just kind of have to, be open to that in a sense and be able to kind of go with that. I like talking with people on set, and I like to just see who people are. I mean, because we're all come from such varied backgrounds, and like that's really, I don't know, that's really one of the cool things that brings everybody together to like create something that's like a story. But yeah, it for me, I think the biggest thing is just kind of like gauging it per person.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I'm gonna steal the book thing.
You should.
I think I'm gonna
It's a great
steal
idea.
it. And when I think about
I wonder
that,
what book we could bring.
but I remember when I was on American Reunion, I wasn't filming this day, but Neil Patrick Harris was there, and
Yeah.
I was like, I have to go to set.
Yeah.
And he was reading Harry Potter.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I was in the transpo van with him, and he had Harry Potter, and he was reading that. We kind of talked about it
And
a
what
little
like
bit.
a cool, and like you're telling this story about it right now of like him just reading something that was fun for him.
Yep, exactly. He's like, I know I'll be like sitting around at some point, and
Yeah.
I'll get a couple chapters in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And speaking of American Reunion, kind of shifting into, I want to talk about Residuals for a second. So you were a lot of weeks on Guardians.
Yep.
I had a bunch of weeks on American Reunion, and I remember the Residuals for that were just like incredible.
Yeah.
And so because Guardians goes straight to Disney Plus and streaming, and at that time, streaming doesn't exist yet for American Reunion. I wanted to like compare the Residuals to see how some of that looks. So for you, how does it currently look?
Well, I haven't seen anything for the movie yet because that just came out in May.
Okay, so we're not even a year out yet.
Not a year out from that. But I was also in the Guardians holiday special, which came out last November, in November of 22. So that I just recently saw a residual like kind of pending. It's on the way. And so from the amount of time that I worked on that project, I would say it was probably like, I don't know, it's probably like 20 to 30% of what I made on that project. So yeah, it was.
That's not great.
No, it's not great. And we'll see if there's more coming. I don't know.
Yeah.
There always is more eventually, but I don't know what those residuals are going to look like for that project yet.
Yeah, because like as an actor, residuals are so important for you to be able to sustain and actually make a living.
It's part of our career. Yeah. It's a huge portion.
And it's like if you get enough projects, I at least this is how I've always felt. If you get enough projects, right, you like book a few things a year, right? After a few years, and those compound on one,
the stacking.
Exactly. Then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I'm like making a living as an actor.
Yeah.
And so, I remember American Reunion, I probably made more than my entire 9 weeks. At that time, it was pretty much essentially like $3,100 a week or whatever it was. So approximately like $30K is like what I made on American Reunion. And then once the residuals started, I think I made in the first year like $40K
so
or
you made
more.
On residuals,
more. So the fact that the Christmas special's been out for an entire year and you've only made like 20% or 30%, like that's just crazy. I mean, like that. I mean, that's why we had the strike for so long.
That's a huge portion of it is those residual payouts and making sure that they were sustainable for careers. You know, like for us as performers to continue and have a livelihood in this. And so, yeah, I'm excited to see how that does pay out eventually, because I think I'm hoping that it'll be great, but I don't know until I see it. You know, it's one of those things. Until I see the numbers, I don't really know.
Until the mailbox money appears.
Yes, mailbox money.
Yeah. But how has residuals been? Like, how important do you think residuals are, and how have they been, I guess, for you in your career, whether it be other film and TV projects or I guess even commercially? I mean, I think commercially it's incredible and can really help sustain you as an actor.
This is one of the things that I tell actors a lot is there's kind of like there's this kind of mindset within the acting world where people are like, oh, I don't do commercials. You know, commercials.
Stupid.
Yeah. Commercials aren't real acting, and I'm like, commercials are real money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you want to have a living as an actor, do commercials. And you know, there are fewer union commercials now, which are the ones where we really make our residuals, you know, and make good money on them. But if you can go and you can do a commercial for one day, and you can make $30,000 over the payout of the commercial, like that's more than people make in a year in their jobs. So I tell people, you know, young actors, even actors that are my age and have been seasoned and kind of turn their nose up at commercials, I'm like, you're leaving a lot of money on the table there, because that's been a huge way that I've made my health insurance, that I've paid for my bills, that I pay my mortgage. You know, there's things like that have come directly from commercials. And I love commercial work because it's fun. You know, there is a lot of that pressure that's taken off in commercial work because you get to just play.
So true. I was just about to say that. It's like so much less pressure.
Like I don't have to create a character that moves someone. I just have to entertain you. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like I get to tell you the story of this McDonald's hamburger and like why it makes me smile that day or whatever the product and the brand is. And you can take all that pressure off and you can literally just get back to kind of the theater or whatever it is, the playing in the sandbox as it is, you know, that drew a lot of us to acting in the first place. And so it's not that like I've got to connect and I've got to make the moment special and a reset, okay, and then back to, you know, it's none of that stuff. It's just like you get to be big, you get to like just have fun with it. And
bro, so true.
That's another reason why I'm like, man, do commercials. Yeah, and it's a supplement. You don't have to only be a commercial actor. Guess what? We all do it all.
I mean, look at the A-list stars. They do commercials. Every time I see an A-list star doing a commercial, I'm so mad, though. I'm like, leave that for us.
Well, they're also making millions of dollars on the campaign, which is another thing. But
you said a couple of things. One was like leaving money on the table, which I think is more of like a business term, right?
Yeah, it is.
But I'm like, but this is a business. And if you want to make it your business, right? Your career, you got to treat it like it. So I cannot agree with you more when it comes to like actors that think, I don't really want to do commercials. It's like, that's silly for you not making money, but also thinking about like with your relationship with your agent, going into that relationship being like, no, I'm not doing any commercials. Immediately, they're going to be thinking, well,
you're taking money out of their pocket too.
Exactly.
Well, and also like at that point, you're not as strong of an asset for them, right? So if they can't send you out for everything, then like they will go, I mean, it may not fully affect your relationship in every way, but your agents are business people and like their job is to get you opportunities. So if you're saying that you're not going to take a portion of those opportunities, then that's less money for everybody. And so this is another thing that I think, like one of the reasons why I respect you in the work that you do is because you understand once you're in business for yourself, you understand that it frees up the acting to be more fluid and less worrisome, right? Once you get your money right, then you don't have to, I need this audition, I need this job. And it takes a lot of that desperation and that worry about, I need to book this job because I need to make healthcare, or I've got to take this low paying job to pay my bills this month. If you can get your business of acting right, then it frees you. It like creates a structure that you can kind of play within. And I think that's one of the best things that I can tell younger actors is get your money first in whatever you need to do so that you have the freedom to play and create and not worry about needing the job, so that you can bring something, you can leave it in the room and you can say, if you want more, you can pay me for it. And I think that's one of the things that you understand and that, I've tried to incorporate in my life and my business is that this is business and it's not personal most of the time, like when producers and directors and the people that are in casting, when people are putting together like a world, a lot of times it has nothing to do with you.
No.
And so like they're trying to assemble a family. Oh, you're too light-haired. I'm too dark-haired. I'm too tall. I'm too short. Different complexion. Whatever. And so it's like they're trying to create a world, and maybe I just don't fit in. I'm not the right piece. Doesn't mean I'm not great at it. And that's maybe like a completely different thing than like getting the business part of it right. But then once you are not worried about the money, then you don't take things personally, and it allows you to like just go, okay, next one.
Hey, if you're an actor and you're enjoying this episode, we want to serve your acting journey in a bigger way. So we want to let you know that we offer a free class every single month. We do it on a lot of different things, but most importantly, we make sure that it is so value-packed that you have no idea how it's actually for free. But it's our gift to you to know that we are so passionate to help actors on their journey, and more specifically, help you on your journey. So you'll find a link in the description. All you gotta do is put in your email and we will send you our next upcoming free class so you can get so much value. So do not miss out on that. Again, you'll find the link in the description. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Yes. Yeah. I think what you just said was beautiful, and I appreciate the kind words too. But how do you feel like you kind of got there? Because I feel like it takes a little bit more, right, than just kind of hearing that.
Yeah.
Does it completely depend on, I guess, maybe like getting that side hustle or getting something along the lines of like, oh great, I don't have to worry about money anymore? Because I do remember that in my life years ago, I was like, everything is right in my life. I feel like I'm having a good time with my friends. I love the journey I'm on. I'm like booking some things here and there, but like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and this is hard.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was able to get beyond that, I do feel like things also changed. Like that freedom, there's like this weight off of you. I cannot agree more. So is it a mindset of getting your mindset right, or is it solely like, I just got to get my bank account right?
No, I don't think it's just the bank account, because the bank account, it can be full and you can deplete it. And then what happens? It would come right back if you don't have your mind right, So it's like, it is a mindset. And I think also for me, like I started kind of developing that kind of confidence and that kind of like understanding that like, this is business and you're going to have ups and downs. And like, as long as your trajectory is kind of going like this and kind of continuously going up or plateauing and then going up or whatever, then like, you're kind of in the right direction of where you want to be in creating a like longevity in a business. Right. But that's all mindset, and it's like, yeah, you can book a job and that'll give you some confidence and say like, okay, I'm a working actor. Right. But until you can view yourself as competent in that regard, and until you change your mindset about what this is, because we both know there's a lot of rejection in this business. And so if your mindset is not right, then the money won't matter. And the jobs that you have booked in the past won't matter, because it's all about what can you book today? How valuable are you now? But until you can change the mindset and just saying, hey, I'm going to create stuff here. And like part of the job is the auditioning process. And one of the things that I love the most about acting in general is the community. And I think that Atlanta in particular is really unique in the way that we've created and fostered a community here.
Yeah, you're so right.
Because I talk to friends from LA, from New York, from Chicago, from Toronto, like all over the world, right? And Atlanta has this really, really supportive community. We hang out together. We all celebrate each other. Like a lot of the guys that I'm competing with all the time, that like I'm going out against all the time, are like my good friends. And it's because, hey man, we both understand what this journey is. And sometimes it's like, that's yours. And if one of my friends books the job that I audition for, I'm like, hell yeah, man, that's awesome. Like I'm excited for them because they're getting to work, they're representing the market. It's a success for them, and a win for them is a win for me. And it's like, I love seeing people in our market succeed. I mean, I love that idea of like a rising tide raises all ships, right? I think that's so cool. And that's one of the reasons why, like, beyond the fact that it was a career milestone for me with like Guardians, I was like, this is like a career milestone for Atlanta in a lot of ways, because an Atlanta actor got to do that and got to be the guy who was with the Guardians. And that was one of the things that like I kind of wore as like a badge of pride, not just for me, like, okay, cool, I did the thing. And like I would say I'm a little self-deprecating sometimes, where I'm like, oh, people are like, that was so cool. And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. Yeah, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the day, it's like I got to kind of push all of that away, because I was like, I got to do this for the city too, and for like my friends, and for like I'm representing my family and like the actors here in this market. And I thought that was kind of cool, just kind of a cool way to look at it. And yeah, I don't know, that was exciting for me. But like we said, a lot of that is just, you've got to have the mindset and just remember that this is a journey, and you're going to build confidence. You're going to find ways to build confidence for yourself so that you can say the money's not the only thing, because guess what? There are years where we don't make a lot of money at this particular side of things, but we can still create and we can still add value to that. And it's still a part of our journey. And I think that's really cool.
Dude, that's beautiful. And you know, actually, if you're going to be self-deprecating for yourself, I'll give you a hard time really quick.
Yeah.
Because I remember that you were like, hey, I'm talking to Chris Pratt about playing golf. And I was like, invite me.
Yeah.
And I remember us talking about that. And I was like, and I really thought, I was like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen.
Man,
and it didn't happen.
No, it never happened. And I hope he sees this, because
Yeah.
Pratt, you still owe me a round of golf somewhere. But yeah, he probably would have put me into the ground because he's a much better golfer than I am. But
That would have been fine.
I don't care, man.
I would have been fine.
I'm here to hang out. What's up, Dolly?
Dolly made it in
Hello,
here.
precious.
She's like, yes, I'm here. Get me in this episode.
Yeah.
So when you got Guardians, I feel like a big piece of that was you also had a really good part in Loki. Can you talk about that and how you feel like it helped you get Guardians, or elevated you, or maybe just elevated your career? Like, kind of what changed? Because that role was so sick. It was so fantastic. Because, well, I guess you can go ahead and describe what the scene was, but can you kind of then talk about what that led to?
Yeah, so that was one of the coolest sets that I've been on. And I was only there for a day. So it's like, but I got to play such a fun role, and I got to be right across from Tom Hiddleston the whole time. And like, I remember like my day on, like before I went and did the scene, I got to just talk with Tom for like, I don't know, probably 20, 30 minutes. And I just was kind of real with him. I was like, how long, like, how has this role like affected you? And I was like, I think the first thing that I asked him was, how long have you been doing this role? And he was like, and you could see him think, he was like, man, I've been doing this role for like 10 years or 11 years.
So
or something.
long, yeah.
And he was like, this role changed my life. And then we just kind of talked about that for a little bit. Like, you know, he has a vast theatrical background, which I thought was really cool because I came up in the theater too. And then he got to talk with me about, you know, he kind of opened up with me and told me a little bit of like his inner thoughts as Loki, right? Like, he's the god of mischief. He's always got something up his sleeve. He's always got a little smile. And so I'd already kind of picked up on that from just watching, you know, like that's some of that, the god of mischief part is pretty obvious, but you know, just doing our work as actors, we got to like kind of, okay, how do I want to craft this character? Because I was playing a Loki variant, so I had to incorporate some of that personality into my take on the role. And so us just sitting around talking about it, I was like, okay, that checks a lot of the stuff that I'd been thinking already. And he was like super generous as we were working together. You know, after every take, when we got to kind of ad lib a little bit and kind of just go back and forth, and our director, Kate Herron, she kind of just let us go. And so we'd have like little back and forth kind of witty exchanges. And after every take, he was like, oh, that was really good. Yeah, I was like, oh, thanks, man. That's fun.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, I mean,
one of the things I loved about that role, because I just want, I think it's so important for actors to like keep this in mind. Like, what was the audition character name?
I don't even remember what the audition character's name was. Did you do that audition too?
I think so, but I'm pretty sure it was just like store clerk.
It was something like that.
Yeah.
And okay, so I do remember in the audition, it was like, it was like store clerk or something like that. And in the scene, it was my body is taken over by like a girl's spirit or something like that. And I didn't know what that was. I started looking up in kind of Marvel lore to see if I could figure out who that was. And I thought like, I don't know what characters I looked at, but it wasn't Loki. It wasn't like a variant of Loki or a female variant of Loki with Sylvie. So I kind of just incorporated that into the audition and kind of just played whatever that was. But I mean, yeah, that's the funny thing too. And I talk with like Jason about this a lot, like my agent, and you never know what these roles are going to turn into.
Yeah.
And it's like somebody could see that store clerk one day on set and go, nah, whatever. But I was in like 6 minutes of that episode.
Dude, the role in the scene was so incredible.
And it's like it's in my demo reel now, and it's like I got a lot of recognition for that, and that was really cool because I loved the role, and I've always been a huge Marvel fan in general. So it's like that was my first step into the world, and I was like, that was cool. And to like piggyback off of the other question, that directly led to me booking Guardians. So I remember when the role was coming through casting, I remember the casting director reaching out to Jason and being like, this is what we think it is. Do you have people that fit the specs, right? Because it was like they need a body type and they need somebody that can hold their own on camera with like A-list stars. And so he pitched one guy, wasn't quite right. And then he was like, all right, well, what about Austin? He's a little taller than like, because I'm 6'1", and they were like, it needs to be 6 foot. And so the casting director was like, oh, that's perfect. He just did Loki, and they had cast me in that. And so they're like, all right, let me just reach out to the producers and see kind of what they think. And from the way that I've heard it told, is that I don't know if it was some crossover with producers or if producers from Loki like talked with the producers of Guardians, but the producers of Loki were like, Austin's great. We loved working with him. It was very professional. Tom liked working with him, which is always awesome to hear that like A-list star likes working with you. That's cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I didn't audition for Guardians. There was no like screen test. There was nothing like that. It was just like, hey, you want it? I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. Yeah, I guess
my God.
Yeah, I guess I'll go be Groot. That's cool. Yeah, let me check my schedule.
Yeah.
So, which is wild. But I mean, it directly led to that. And it was from a good relationship with casting, being the right type, which is planets aligning, right? And then having a good relationship with the producers, just showing up to set, being professional, hitting your mark, saying your lines, and like them saying, oh, hey, that left an impression on us, and it propelled me to the next job, which was pretty cool.
Dude, and so much of that, right, is like you just have to, I think that's the beautiful thing about the Southeast and Atlanta.
Yeah.
Is that those types of things can happen. You don't know which ones they are, right? So you have to be willing to say yes to pretty much everything.
Yeah.
You just have to be a yes man. You have to be the person that's just like, I want to work. I want to be the person that's there for casting.
Yeah.
I just want to be on set. And you don't know what's going to lead to major recurring, or in this case, which is so crazy, literally like store clerk, a few lines, which seems like a garbage role essentially, turns into actually the store clerk is being like possessed by the lead bad guy in Loki.
Yeah.
With the main person that then leads to you getting Groot. Like, which absolutely crazy.
That's the crazy part about like this business in general, is that you don't know what's going to lead to what. And I do like that idea of being a yes man to a certain point. Like there may come a time in your career where you don't want to do smaller stuff. Sure, that's all personal choice. Yep. But you never know where each role is going to lead. And that's the cool thing, is that people build a career that way. And, like think of going back and just thinking of movies where someone had a cameo, right? A small role in the movie or show, and that's the one that stuck out to you the most. As opposed to like the lead, which is, going to be kind of the classic straight man that like holds the scene together, whereas the zany guy off to the side is the one that sticks in your mind more than anything else in like the project or whatever. And I don't know, that's cool, and you don't really have any control or foresight on that, but that is kind of the power of saying yes and seeing where it leads.
Yeah. So you I mean, you really entered the Marvel universe. I know you're a big fan of Dragon Con too.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, so getting on set, like it must have just been so crazy, kind of just seeing all these different characters of like that you kind of saw at first, like in Dragon Con, maybe even like dressed up as. Like, why do you go to Dragon Con? What do you love about it?
Man, I'm just a big nerd. I love stuff like that in general. I've got a group of like 7 to 10 people that I go with every year, and we just go. It's like a 5-day party. You know, we all dress up and have a good time. The cool thing about like Dragon Con and cons in general is you get to go and like you get to have like conversations with people that are A-list or B-list or whatever, like people that are starring in movies and TV shows, people that are voiceover actors that have vast careers. Those are things that I think are just kind of cool about kind of that world in general. And you get to go and just kind of like celebrate the things that people love, because everybody loves something like that, and there's something there for everyone. So I mean, yeah, like this is the cool thing about like Guardians, for instance. Nathan Fillion is in the movie. And I think every single year that I've gone to Dragon Con, I've dressed up as his character from Firefly, just because I like the outfit. It looks good on me, and it's fun, and I love the show. And so, like, you know, I got to meet him at the premiere of Guardians. We didn't really talk much, but I was like kind of like in the circle with him. We like sat beside each other. But it's like that's kind of cool. Just like, oh hey man, like I don't think I've ever really I've only gotten starstruck one time on set, and I don't even know if people will know who this is, but like. I did this show in Baton Rouge, like back in 2019, I guess, called Paradise Lost. And the only time I've ever gotten starstruck is by this actress named Bridget Regan. And the reason that I got starstruck, sort of, is because she plays the main character in a TV adaptation of my favorite book series, which is a fantasy series called The Sword of Truth.
I love The Sword of Truth.
So, yeah.
Dude, but they did it wrong.
I know.
Oh,
but
they did it wrong.
Okay, yes, I agree. The show was like... it was a Sam Raimi thing. He's coming off of like Hercules, the Legendary Adventures or whatever it's called, and Xena and all that kind of stuff. So they tried to put it in that vein, and it's not right for that. But the show led me to the book series, and so I still have a little love for the show.
Sure.
And she was perfect casting, and Bruce Spence was perfect casting for Zed. But we're going off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's the only time that I've ever really gotten kind of like starstruck by anyone. Other than that, it's just like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Like, a fan of the work. You've obviously had a great career. This is cool. Excited to be working with you. Let's make something cool. And that's kind of just where I try to keep it most of the time, which is fun.
Dude, 2 things here. One, Wizard's First Rule, the first book of the Sword of Truth series, was literally like the first book I ever read cover to cover.
Yep.
I hated to read so much. And then
I forgot you had read those.
Yeah, I went to the library. I remember I went with my mom, and I was like, I think I'm going to read this book. I've never read a book in my whole life. This book has like 800.
It's like 800 pages, yeah.
800 and some odd pages. And my mom's like, Jesse, put that book down.
You're like, no, I'm going to do it.
You're never going to read that book. And I was like, I will. And then I was hooked. You know, I read it. I read all of it. But then the next thing that I want to know is, how many autographs have you signed at Dragon Con?
I've never signed any at Dragon Con.
No?
Actually. No. What's up, baby? I've not gone as like a panelist yet. I just hired like a special events agent like this past year because I have a feeling that I probably will do some of that stuff. But I haven't done any of that yet.
Okay.
I've done it at smaller signings. Like I've had some places that have asked me to come and like sign stuff there for Loki, and this is before Guardians even came out. So I have a feeling I'll probably do more. But no, I've never really signed anything there. I just go and participate and have fun, and
that's awesome.
That's the cool part. It's like everybody like. There's a lot of like even the A-list people that'll go in incognito and like cosplay, and like they'll go and celebrate and have fun, and
nice.
And like that's the fun part about it is everybody's kind of on an even playing field.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Every time I see you like post pictures post Dragon Con, I'm like, I want to go.
So come with me.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring you into this world,
dude,
man.
Yeah. Because Candace likes to like have, you know, she likes to dress up, and, you know, like she likes to do those things. And then I'm like, all right, yeah, that'll be fun. So every time I see it, and you're always dressed up so good, you know? So yeah, man, you got to give me the invite like a month out so we can make it happen.
I'll tell you, it's always Labor Day weekend in Atlanta, downtown. Come on Saturday just to wet your feet a little bit.
All right.
And then that's all it takes.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. Welcome, brother.
Yes. So, I mean, we've talked about numerous roles that you've done. Can you talk about one outside of the Marvel universe that really sticks out to you that you like in more than like sticks out, but like what was like a big lesson that you learned being on that set?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there were probably two that kind of stick out to me. Like when I did the Mule, the Clint Eastwood movie, that was probably like the first step on like booking big things in my career, and just being there and watching like a legendary filmmaker like
Yeah.
clockwork, right? 8 hour days, 3 takes and moving on, 3 takes and moving on, and like sitting up, sizing up the shot. Okay, let's go. And then like just watching like a professional, very professional, just well-oiled crew that's worked together for decades, right? Just create something fast, and it hits all the marks, and like that was kind of just cool, and it also kind of put me on the path of like, oh wow, I can like book and hold the screen with like a legendary actor. That's cool. And then I would say one of the bookings that I've had that was like probably the most impactful on me was the one with Paradise Lost. And I don't even think many people saw the show because it was on Spectrum Originals, and you had to have Spectrum Internet to even watch it. And so it was just not put out well. But it was just such a fun show to shoot. And like I was a recurring guest star, so I think I did like 6 episodes or something. And I got to be down in Baton Rouge for like 4 or 5 months. And so like I was on that for a long time. I made some really good friends there. Louisiana is such a cool culture in general. Like I've got family that lives right outside of New Orleans. So I mean, while I was there, I really loved the storyline. I was playing the younger version of one of the leads, so it was like I was doing all these cool flashback scenes, and it's a very traumatic character. And so I got to do like my first like running explosion jump shot, which was kind of fun.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, I got to do my own stunts for that, so that was cool. And so I don't know, like that was just like a cool process. I got to drive like it was like a 1970s Rolls Royce. I got to drive that, and I was like, if I wreck this, I can't pay for this. So good luck.
Yeah.
And so like stuff like that, I don't know. That was such a cool experience, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people from that set. And I don't know, just being there and being like a pivotal part of the storyline, that was something that was really impactful on that job. And hopefully people can go watch it. Yeah.
How?
Yeah. I don't know. From the way that I was told, they were going to release it to like Paramount Plus at some point, but I don't know what happened with that.
All right.
So I have no idea if that's even like a thing still or not. I don't know.
Check your Paramount Plus.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Whenever I meet anyone new and they're like, oh, wow, you're an actor? Have you been in anything I've seen?
I don't know what you watch.
That's what I always say. I go, I don't know what you watch.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what you watch.
Yeah. And then they're usually like, oh. But then they usually don't like that answer. They're like, well, you know, I watch stuff.
Tell me something.
Yeah, tell me something. I'm like, gosh.
Prove yourself.
Prove yourself. Yeah. So that's and I feel like whenever I'm coaching actors too, I'm like, you want to book something so bad so you can feel more validated, right?
That's a lot of it. Yeah.
And I'm like, and it doesn't change, because now you'll book something and you'll be like, finally, I can tell people. And then you'll tell people, and then they're like, I don't know what that is.
Or this is a fun one too. Like you go to like a premiere of something, right? And like you bring friends or family, and then the job that you booked, it took you years to get to that booking, right?
Yep.
And countless auditions, countless workshops, countless interactions with casting and agents and no's, right? And then you go and you have your shining moment on the screen, and it's like 2 lines, and they turn to you and go, is that it?
Oh, God, yeah.
And you go, yep, that's it.
Yep, that was it.
That's the one.
Yep. This is no lie. I booked a show. I'm going to be on TV. I tell my mom, my dad, I'm like, watch this. My dad's response to me was, I leaned over and ate a bite of my sandwich and I missed you. I'm like, yep. Yeah, you did.
Or you get cut entirely. Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, you did. So to get to the booking, you got to do good auditions.
Yeah.
Can you talk about some of your kind of audition tools, or what's kind of your preparation with that helps you get there?
So you have to, when you're doing any kind of like scene analysis, script analysis, any of that kind of stuff of figuring out who am I, what's happening, where are we. That's just kind of like textbook stuff, right? You have to go through the math, right? Okay, what's the setting? What time of day is it? What is my character? Let's check the breakdown. Let's check the project. What's the log line? What's like the show about? Those are things that are pretty standard that you're going to start with. What's my view of the other person? What do I want here? Those are all things that you just have to do the math. My favorite part of all of the audition prep is when I can just sit down and talk with somebody, right? Hey, let's run these lines together. So for me, I don't know if it's because I started in the theater and so I'm used to rehearsal, right? But that's when I lock it in. Like I can spend all day looking at lines, and then when the camera goes, I'm like, oh, it doesn't lock in for me because it's not in my body. It's just in my brain, right? So for me, just hearing somebody else and going, oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And so I find like a moment there that's like, okay. That's an important moment for this character in this scene, because there's a reason why they give you those audition sides. It's something important in either the character's journey or the journey of the lead character, depending on the size of your role, that progresses the storyline. Or maybe it's something as simple as, oh, hey, here's your check, right?
Yeah.
And so you're just a piece of the clock that's moving it along. Cool. Get your money, take your credit, play your part, and build a foundation for yourself to step up and keep going, because all of it's important. And guess what? You had to go and you got that role over a lot of other people, and that's cool. But for me, the most important part of the audition process is just connecting with another person. And that really helps me to kind of dial in and figure out what the scene is about, and to find, I don't know, the real human connection of it, which is the reason why we're doing it to begin with. So that's my thing.
I love it, man. From the audition all the way to the many bookings, which leads us to our spotlight sign off. 5 questions to wrap this up.
All right.
Question number 1 is, what is something that you're super grateful for today?
Super grateful for today? I would say that I'm super grateful for my family and my friends. They're all very supportive. Actually, my family, we kind of just went through a loss. My grandmother just passed a couple of weeks ago. So it's really, whenever you have like a loss like that, it really puts stuff into perspective. And so I've just been really, really appreciative of like all of the good friends and the family and stuff like that have reached out. And that's something that I think, we can't take for granted in a lot of ways. And so I'm very thankful as we go in, especially we're going into Thanksgiving this week. So that's cool.
Yeah. What's something, this is not part of the spotlight sign off.
Okay.
This is a compound question now. And this is interesting because this fact actually came up in a different episode too. So I kind of love this. But when my grandmother passed, the one thing that I like really grabbed from her was like her strength. Mm-hmm. No matter how old she was always still getting ready, wanting to go out, wanting to do things. It's just like just so strong. You're like, that's how I want to be.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is how our family members kind of live on with us, right? So what's something that you're taking with you from your grandma?
So there's probably, I would say there's probably 2 things. Probably one of the things that
It can be more than 2 things. Yeah.
But like, these are like, I think the 2 that stick out to me probably the most is she always worked really hard, and she expected everyone else around her to work really hard. And so I think that's something that I try to emulate every day, is just like, you put in the work, eventually something is going to break through.
Yeah.
And I think that, and also my grandmother always had she had this really good way of like seeing the big picture of everything. She could like look at she was a real estate broker for a long time. And so she could look at a property and go, I've got a vision for this house and I'm going to make it into that. And so that's something that I want to implement more, is seeing things big picture and having a roadmap going forward for how to get to the point that I want it to get to for everything. And I think that's something that I'll definitely take from her. And it's like really, really cool and impactful.
I love that. Question number 2 is, what book or movie, TV show, event like really changed the trajectory of your life?
I would say the book that changed it, I don't know why, but the book that changed everything for me is a book called The Good Earth. It's this book written in like 1934, I think, somewhere in that range. It's in the 1930s. by this woman named Pearl S. Buck, and it's about a Chinese farmer in like Imperial China, and it's just a story of his life, and it's like there's like kind of like a quiet to the book that I really like. That's like it's given me kind of like this kind of internal peace in a lot of ways, because it's like you see kind of the big picture of his life and how there's like so much about it is like the goodness of the land and how it like everything that we get that's good is from that, and how we're connected to it, and like the connection of the family, and like how just continuously building towards what he wants gets him. He goes from being this very poor farmer to being like this very respected person in his town, and it's I don't know, it's just a beautiful book, and I've read it like probably 15 times at this point. So I read it like every probably 2 years just to like go through it again. So yeah, that's been probably my biggest book.
Super cool. Super cool. Something within your daily routine, what is something that you really cherish in that?
My daily routine, I love in the mornings when I have my coffee time. I go to like I'm just addicted to coffee, I think. So like I go to bed thinking about it. But every morning, like I get to get up and I have coffee, and I have like kind of a cool little bird setting in the back, so I can like watch the birds if I want. I have a lot of plants in my house, but I can also just kind of just sit and just enjoy and plan for the day and prep for what's ahead, and kind of envision what the week is going to be like and kind of what my goals are. So It's like that's kind of like my time before all the madness of the day starts and we get to work.
Okay, how's the bonsais doing?
They're not doing great.
Oh
but,
no,
no, I had to leave for like I was gone for like a couple of weeks several times, and they didn't quite survive.
Oh god, you gotta have the roommates on watering duty.
Yeah,
you're like I didn't.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right. We'll get more.
Yeah.
What I've learned from a really good friend of mine who does bonsais is he's like, you're gonna kill trees. It just is what it is. It's just part of it.
I've killed 2 now, so that's sad, but here we are.
Yep. Question number 4 is, what's something that you're currently trying to improve in your life?
I think the thing that I'm trying to improve is just staying consistent on things. For me, I've noticed that I can have a lot of really good intentions, but my actions can fall through. So just staying consistent on consistently working out, consistently staying on my business aspects that I need to stay on, consistently like saving money and budgeting and not spending on frivolous things, consistently taking care of my girlfriend, things like that, just consistently maintaining relationships, just being consistent in the things that are important. That's the stuff that I'm always trying to improve, and I think I will always try to do that.
Nice. And then last question, if there's one thing from your life, one piece of advice that you want the listeners to get, what would it be?
So I think this is something that I've kind of applied to acting in a lot of ways, and I think it also applies to life in a lot of ways. I had a great teacher who's actually based here, who kind of taught me. Can I cuss on this podcast? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I had a great teacher here that kind of told me that one of the most important things, especially in the auditioning process, is just to say fuck them. And I think that that's something that applies to everything. Just kind of finding your path and knowing the truth of that, and not worrying about what everybody else thinks or what matters to everybody else. If you can just find what's your truth and your importance to you, I don't really think you can go wrong. It's like that's, for me, especially when I went into acting, I kind of decided probably around 15, 16 that I was like, the most important thing to me is to figure out what is a life well lived. And for me, that was like telling stories and, experiencing things in that regard. And so just finding your path and finding out what it is, it's a life well lived for you, and then just go for it, man.
I love it. Beautiful, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
dude, Austin, great to have you here, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Everyone, thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you got a lot from this. Please send this to someone that you think will benefit. Also, I appreciate you guys so much for sending us reviews and comments. I love reading them. If you haven't reviewed the podcast yet, please do so. It really does help. And again, it just means so much to know that you're listening and getting a lot from this. So everyone, thanks so much for tuning in to Get Scene Unscripted. We'll see you on the next one.